Thank you, dear. Okay.
So welcome everybody to the September series, Let's Cook with Apples. I am Gail Schorsch, founder and director of Bronx Eats, and I am so pleased that you have chosen to spend part of your evening with us tonight. It's so nice to see so many new people and also a few regulars taking part in this Bronx Eats class and growing community. Welcome to all of you. Food is a great reason to get together, and Bronx Eats is here to offer you healthy, traditional, plant-based foods that you know and love, and also to introduce you to some dishes that you may not have thought to try. Small steps toward a healthier plant-based diet can build on itself. Let me just make sure everybody can. Please mute yourself if you are talking. It is well known that where your attention goes, your energy flows. So let's put some attention on Debra's salad recipe tonight and have it in mind to repeat it for ourselves and our families and to treat ourselves to the beautiful foods which nature has to offer. Bronx Eats is a safe place to meet, learn, and connect with each other around food and cooking. It's a shared community gathering place. We need to make sure that we find ways to connect with each other, especially in COVID times when it is easy to feel disconnected and alone. When we come together for events like this, we send a message to ourselves and to others that our health matters to us and that we value our time together in community, that we value our local cooks and chefs, and that we're going to take care of ourselves on a personal and community level. So thank you for showing up for yourselves and for this community. A big thank you to Giselle Payne and Barbara Denson from RSS, who helped to plan and organize this series. A few housekeeping notes. We are recording this presentation. You can ask questions directly, or if you prefer to use the chat box to ask your questions, that's totally fine. Also, it really makes it more personal and connected to turn your video on. Your presence is important to us and it makes it feel like more of a community and a family. This is a class, but it's also a chance to share with and learn from each other face to face. So please turn your videos on if possible. And now let me introduce Chef Debra Johnson, who we are honored to have here tonight. First of all, Debra has her own website and her own culinary platform. It's called mytemplewellness.com. mytemplewellness.com. Debra Johnson is a plant-based community nutritionist who holds a Master of Science degree in nutrition. She founded My Temple Wellness in 2018, and it's a holistic wellness company whose mission is to educate, alleviate, and eliminate the potential health risks among vulnerable populations. I'm going to pause for a minute and mute people. Or you can please mute yourselves. That would be awesome. Trying to see where I can do that. One moment. Okay, excellent. In addition, Debra is also a certified in nutritional psychology, an emerging area that examines the strong connections between our diet and nutrition, our mood, behavior, and overall mental health. Debra is also a mental health first aid instructor. She is currently a consultant for the Riverdale Senior Services and Northwest Bronx Food Justice Coalition Project as the community health nutrition educator. She's a board member of the Steering and Envisioning Committee for New York City Nutrition Education Network and has taught in numerous schools and literacy and wellness programs. We're so delighted that she's here this evening to share her expertise with us. And without further ado, Debra Johnson, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Gail. I'm excited to be out here with you all this evening. Happy, what day are we? Thursday? Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope you all have been doing well. We are living in some really crazy times. So I hope you guys have been self-caring, that you've been taking good care of yourselves. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a very simple dish, but it's a very healthy dish. And it's a dish that you can also use to heal your bodies and also, improve your health. So as Gail said, I am plant-based focused. So I focus a lot of my teachings on plants. And so that's what we have here today. I'm going to be showing you my ingredients. That'll be the first thing that I'll do. I'll show you my ingredients. I am going to do a little bit of nutrition ed as I go along, because if I didn't, it wouldn't be me. So we're going to cook, but we're going to talk a little bit about the foods that we have here. As Gail mentioned as well, feel free to ask your questions. You can unmute yourself, put your comments or your questions in the chat. I will try to answer your question. If I do not know the answer, I will defer and get back to you at another time. All right. So I really hope you guys will just sit back, enjoy. I want to know if anybody's going to be preparing this meal with me this evening. Is anybody going to be cooking along, or are you all just going to be hanging out?
Any takers? Any people cooking along?
No?
Okay. Maybe they just need to learn from the expert, and then they'll make it on their own afterwards.
Well, that's fine. We could do that too. I'm just grateful that you guys decided to spend this Thursday evening with us this afternoon. All right, so you should have already received the recipe in hand, and I'm just going to go over the ingredients. So we're going to be using a bundle of Dino, what we call dinosaur kale or Lacinato kale. All right, and we're going to chop that up. We also going to be using some peppers, some bell peppers. Now I have yellow peppers, I think, on one of my, I think we have yellow peppers, but today I actually have orange, red, and green. Obviously, guys, you can use whichever color peppers you have. We're going to be using some cilantro, parsley, red onion, and of course, we're going to use the apple, which is really the star of the show. And we're going to be topping everything off with our apple at the end, okay? And then we're going to be making our own salad dressing, which I always encourage folks to do, because you know the ingredients that are inside the dressing, all right? So let's first do a little bit of nutrition education. I'm going to be bringing to the screen each item one by one, and I will talk a little bit about it. So have a look at this beauty right here. It's already been washed. So this is our kale. I love this kale because I believe that, sorry, I had my stove on and so I had to turn it off. So with this kale, guys, it's a lot easier to chew. So if you have any issues with chewing, this is the preferred kale. Obviously, you can eat this kale raw or you can cook it. And in terms of the health benefits, it's not such a big difference if you eat it raw versus if you slightly cook it, all right? The kale is a superfood, okay? And so what does that mean when we say that it's a superfood? That means it has loads of minerals, loads of vitamins, and that's a really good thing. So if you are able to get your hands on some kale, whether it's the Dino kale or any other kale, I highly recommend that you do that because it has lots of vitamins. I'm going to just name some of them here. And I took notes because I know I'm not going to remember every single one. So forgive me, I'll be looking down a bit here. So folate, which is great, potassium, calcium, iron. Okay, iron is used to help our blood to flow lovely. Zinc, as you all know, zinc has been in the news quite a bit lately because of COVID, so it helps with our immunity. Vitamin C as well, vitamin A, and even a little bit of omega-3 fatty acids, which is a protein which we all really need. As I said before, there are different types. I want to mention something though, the Dirty Dozen. Have you guys heard of the Dirty Dozen? Anybody has heard of the Dirty Dozen? Yes, no, give me a thumbs up. Well, I'm going to
That's
continue.
great. If they haven't heard of it, then this is the perfect time to learn about it.
Perfect. So there are a couple of items today that are in our Dirty Dozen, and I'm going to talk about them as we go along. Okay, Lisa Wright says yes, she has. So kale is recently was placed on the Dirty Dozen list, which means that it has a lot of pesticides. Okay, so what I want to recommend to you all today, if you are going to be buying kale, to purchase the organic option. Okay, and that is to prevent, prevent the pesticides from getting into your body, obviously. And so whenever you can, if you are able to afford to get the organic options when it comes to the Dirty Dozen items, and kale is one of them, you want to do that. There are 18 different types of pesticides that are sprayed on kale. And so it's about, what they found was about 92% of the kale that was tested to have these pesticides. And so that's something that we want to be mindful of as we're caring for our bodies and enjoying vegetables, that we're not further harming our bodies by putting in chemicals in our bodies, all right? And so a lot of vegetables sometimes have that. And so I just realized that we actually have to take a pause before I do that. And I want to get the potatoes in the oven first, and then I can get back into educating you guys. All right, so let's do that first. But before we put the potatoes in the oven, let me just tell you a little bit about the potatoes. That's our next item. So I'm using a few potatoes here today because I didn't have a large size. So I have peeled the potatoes. Normally, I don't peel my potatoes. I usually just scrub them really, really well. And I also, I scrub them really, really well and then chop them up and just put them in the oven. But today I decided to peel them because it's not the organic option. So I decided to peel it. Once again, potatoes do have a lot of pesticides as well, even though it's grown underground. You wanna be sure to, if you're gonna eat the skin, to get the organic option, all right? So sweet potatoes have antioxidants, which is great. As you know, antioxidants help to fight inflammation in the body, and it's the preferred option. If you were thinking of white potatoes versus sweet potatoes, I would suggest getting the sweet potatoes, all right? So it also has some protein, it has some vitamin B6, vitamin C, and vitamin A, all right? And they even have beta carotene, which I think is really great. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get that started? And then I can continue to educate you guys about the foods that we're using today as we go along. All right, so these are my potatoes. I've already gone ahead and peeled them. So with this camera, because there's a lot of light, you can't really see too well, but these are my potatoes. I've already gone ahead and peeled them. So now I'm just gonna chop them up and put them in my oven. All right.
Debra, what do you say to people who thought that all sweet potatoes are orange?
All sweet potatoes are
Orange.
orange. Oh my goodness. Well, they're certainly not. Most potatoes, so the potatoes that I enjoy are the ones that are, as you can see, they're white once you peel them. And so those are the Japanese sweet potatoes, okay? And that's what this one is. And it's for me, the tastier one. I much prefer that option. So I would suggest you try that one over the orange sweet potato. All right, so my hands are clean, but I'm gonna wash them again just because I want to be.
And
All right,
if people do
so
have questions, feel free to chime in, or you can put it in the chat box and I'll be happy to ask Debra your question.
okay, so we're basically just cutting the potatoes. And you can make them into whatever size you like. For me, I like them this way. So this is how I'm cutting them. And particularly for this recipe, we don't want them to be too chunky, okay?
Debra?
Yes.
Who is that, Alma? Who is calling Debra's
Are
name?
they hard to find the Japanese, the white? It's Alma.
Well, you know,
Are they
lately
difficult
there's
to, can you find them easily?
yeah, so I usually find them pretty much at most supermarkets, but recently over the last, I want to say there was about 2 to 3 weeks, because I use them all the time. About 2 to 3 weeks now, it's been very difficult to find. But normally they're easy to find. So I've never really had any issues with finding the sweet potatoes until recently, to be honest.
You might try H Mart.
H Mart?
H Mart. It's
Okay.
a lot of Asian foods.
No, that's
And
the thing. I went to all the different Caribbean supermarkets across town. I mean, I did quite a bit looking for it, and I just couldn't find it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about what you just shared is that if you don't find white sweet potatoes, you can buy orange sweet potatoes, and this
Yeah.
recipe will work just
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and because when it comes to doing cooking in the fall, you want to have foods like this that are hearty, okay? But also it gives a bit of sweetness to the salad. Another thing that you can do to bring out, to add some sweetness to the salad, well, we're going to add the apples, but if you really want more sweetness, you could actually get some walnuts. That's another thing you could throw on this salad that would actually be really nice as well. You could toast some walnuts in the oven with some brown sugar, okay? Okay, so that's our potatoes. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw a little bit of salt and pepper on here and some herbs. So if you happen to have herbs, this is a mixture of herbs, and I got this at Trader Joe's. This is the one that I like. So it's not on the recipe, but you can throw this on. You could do your salt and pepper. And I usually don't put too much salt on my food. I like to taste and add it at the end if I need to. And if you have hypertension or any of those heart disease or anything like that, you want to be mindful to not use a lot of salt. And in order to still have your flavor, you want to use things like these, all right? So that's it. We're going to put just a small bit drizzle of olive oil. And I like to use extra virgin olive oil, and that's because extra virgin olive oil is minimally processed, okay? So now I'm gonna put this in my oven. Just gonna stir it up a bit. Oops, we lost one. And I'm gonna put it on 350 or even 375 and give it a chance to cook. It's pretty fast, so let's do that now. Okay, so we'll check back in on that. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to start with our quinoa. Let's do our quinoa next. Okay, so I have today red quinoa. Obviously use whatever quinoa you have. I got this at Trader Joe's. I like to shop at Trader Joe's. I shop at Whole Foods as well, but I like to shop there for certain things because the price point is better. All right, so let's talk a little bit about quinoa. So quinoa is gluten-free, guys, okay? It's high in protein, so I want you guys to, if you're thinking about needing more protein and you're wondering where you can get protein, quinoa is a great option for protein. It's one of the few plants that actually contains all the 9 essential amino acids. Now, we need amino acids, which is basically protein. We need them in our bodies, and quinoa actually has all 9 of the essential. And essential basically means that your body's not making it. And so that's why this is a really amazing food to incorporate in your salads, or just in general. If you're gonna have, if you were thinking of having rice, maybe try to substitute with quinoa. It's a great option for that. It's high in fiber, which is great for gut health, right? Most of the foods we're cooking today, pretty much everything we're cooking today is it's a high fiber meal, all right? And fiber is great for the gut, which obviously helps with any concern for colon issues. You wanna incorporate a lot of fiber, okay? So it has magnesium, it has B vitamins, it has iron, it has potassium, calcium, phosphorus, vitamin E. I mean, it has so many benefits. And so quinoa is something that I was so glad when I discovered it. And I've just been enjoying cooking it ever since. So guys, we have one of these, what I call a strainer. Don't know what you guys call it. And we're just going to measure out, I'm doing a cup. The measurement here for our recipe calls for half a cup, but for me, doesn't make sense to cook a half a cup because of my needs. So based on my needs, I'm gonna make a cup, all right? And it swells as well. Just like rice swells, the quinoa is gonna swell a bit as well. So we're just gonna wash it. And this is like the best way to kind of wash it and get into cleaning it, right? So let's turn this just a little bit over. So my water has boiling already. I had to turn the stove on. And I might have to yeah, it's just 1 cup.
My family boils it.
Sorry?
Somebody was saying that her family.
They boil it before they eat it.
Oh, we're gonna boil it. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna boil it. So here's my stove. That's my water. Okay. And it's basically like cooking rice, guys. So I'm gonna put some, like a teaspoon, half a teaspoon or so, a little bit of salt. And then I'm gonna go ahead and dump my quinoa. Medium heat. Okay. And we're gonna let that cook.
So there are people who skip the step of washing their quinoa, and that's fine. You know, obviously it's fine to wash it. I think it
Mhm.
used to be more like you'd find little pebbles or stones in it. Nowadays,
Right.
things are pretty highly processed for those kinds of things, so you won't find that as much, but you know, feel
That's
free.
exactly what I do. I wash it, then I boil it.
Okay.
All right, guys, so that's boiling. Let's cover the stove and I'm gonna keep an eye on it as we go.
Is it like 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of boiling water?
That's about what it is. What I do sometimes based on how I like my quinoa, I'll add just a little bit more water if it's not soft enough. But yeah, it's usually one part to 2 parts water.
I have
Okay.
a suggestion for people who are watching their salt intake. What I do is I substitute other spices that I like. It flavors the water and then it flavors the quinoa without adding salt.
Thank
Nice.
you. Is that Roberta?
It is. How
Hi,
are you?
Roberta.
I'm so happy you're here, Deborah.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
Okay, nice. So we have Roberta mentioning that you can substitute other spices if you're trying to avoid salt. And I was going to add that if you prefer to put the quinoa in and then the water and bring it to a boil, that's also an option. So there's flexibility about how you cook this.
Yes, that is true. All right, guys, so let's keep going. So those were the two items that I wanted us to get on, you know, the stove and in the oven. And now all that's left for us to do is basically chop all of our other ingredients. And so here we are with our lovely ingredients. So we have our peppers here, cilantro, and our parsley and our red onions. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. And as I go, I'm going to explain a little bit about each of these vegetables, okay?
Beautiful. They're so
As I go, I like to clean, so don't mind me. All right, so let's get the cutting. All right, so when it comes to cilantro and parsley, I really highly recommend that you incorporate them as much as you can in your salads, because cilantro and parsley are great for getting rid of heavy metals in the body. And we get heavy metals in the body because of certain things like household items. Sometimes you're using certain products that have chemicals in them. And even sometimes from farm-raised fish, there's some heavy metals. If you're using aluminum in your house as well, whether it's aluminum foil, whatever it is, you can find heavy metals in the body. And so when it comes to cilantro and parsley, there are 2 great herbs that I highly recommend that you incorporate in your, whether it's salad dressing or just raw like this. It's a great option. And so that's why I usually find it in my salads. I usually throw them in my salads. All right. Something else to know about cilantro and parsley. Cilantro actually helps with iron deficiency anemia. So if anyone is struggling with iron deficiency anemia, cilantro is something great to add to your diet as well for that. Okay. What else do I want to tell you? So one of the reasons why we want to detox the body of heavy metals is because these heavy metals can actually cause issues in our brain. And the issues that they cause can actually cause brain diseases. And some of the worst ones like dementia and Alzheimer's, even depression. It's implicated in even autism, all right, the heavy metals. And so that's why you want to consistently eat foods that are going to actually clean the body, detox the body. And cilantro and parsley are really great options, all right, to help to do that naturally, right?
I see that Mary Platt has a question. Is that correct? Maybe not. Okay, Deborah, go ahead.
There's a question.
I thought there was a question, but I'm not sure. Mary, if you have a question, let us know. No, she does not.
Okay. All right. So let's see what we can say about the bell pepper. So bell peppers, we're cutting those up right now. Those are rich in vitamin C, okay? And vitamin C, as you all might know, it's really, really great for inflammation in the body, okay? And so because of the high antioxidants that's found in these peppers, you want to incorporate bell peppers as much as you can in your diet. The other thing I want to mention about bell peppers is that, as we were talking before about the Dirty Dozen, this is one of the most highly sprayed vegetables. Okay, so it has a lot of pesticides as well. All right, so you want to be mindful as well when it comes to the peppers to get the organic option. And yeah, if you're not familiar with the Dirty Dozen list, I know that Northwest Bronx, we just posted a list of the Dirty Dozen, I believe on our website. I don't know if Barbara is still on, if she wanted to chime in about that, but we have a newsletter that goes out. And so if you're looking for the Dirty Dozen list that you can keep on your refrigerator, it's good to keep because you, again, don't want to be taking care of your health and then adding these toxins in your body. All right, so let's have a look at what we have here so far. We have our cilantro, our parsley, and our peppers, okay? And guys, when you're cooking, I always tell folks, you know, make the rainbow. And that's the best thing you can do when you're cooking. You want to add as much color as you want, as you can. All right, now we're going to be putting in some pepper, not peppers, onion, red onion, okay? And red onions are great. I don't have any notes on red onions. Yeah, so red onions are also great for eliminating toxins in the body, specifically carcinogens. And carcinogens can be found in things like processed meats, okay? So processed meats like hot dogs and any other processed meats you want to think about, there's carcinogens can be found in any processed meats, all right, guys? It's high in folate, vitamin C. Get rid of that. What else? And it also has sulfur compounds, which protects the body from various ulcers and cancers. Okay, so using raw red onions are great, and the flavor is just great for your salads as well. All right, so also red onions can fight urinary tract infection, which is really great. I'm going to just throw just a little bit more in because I love red onions. The folks in my household also love red onions. So we're gonna add some more to that.
Are you comfortable adding white onions, or white onions are really more for cooking and red onions are more for raw salads?
Yeah, red onions are excellent for raw salads. I generally don't put white onions in my salads. It's quite strong for me. Eating it raw. If I sauteed it just a little bit, I could probably throw it on top, but for the most part, you know, let's just go ahead and use the rest. I usually use red onions.
Yeah, no, it's just good for people to know the difference that red onions normally.
Yeah, red onions are usually for salads, and white is usually for sauteing and for putting in. All right, I'm gonna check on the quinoa and the potato. I'll be right back.
Does anyone have any burning questions that they want to ask of Debra or not? That's fine. Hey, Peggy. Haven't seen you in a while.
Hi there, Gail.
How's it going?
It's good. Thank you.
Good, good.
It's good to be back.
Oh, I'm so glad. Were you away somewhere?
Yeah, I was on Long Island for a bit
Okay,
and back in the area.
that's good.
All right, so the last thing that we have to do before we make our salad dressing is we're gonna chop our kale. And I did already go over the health benefits of kale. So this is what we have here: peppers, parsley, cilantro, and the onion.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So we have a question that came in from Lisa. She says that she heard that the reason for washing quinoa is that there's a toxic coating. Is that true? She would like to know.
Yeah, I think when it comes to peas and some of the beans and things like that, you have to be mindful, and it depends on which one. So I'm using the quinoa, the organic option. I still wash them. I'm not 100% sure of whether or not it's a toxic. Did she say, you said it was a toxic?
Toxic coating.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'd like
but
to
I
double
think
check.
that your point
So-
is well made, that if you're buying something organic, you have less reason to worry. So
Yeah,
if
and
it's
that's the
possible
thing.
to get it
So-
organic, that's great.
Yeah, if you're getting the organic option, is generally because when it comes to organic foods, they have to go through such a rigorous process in order to even grow this food. It's 3 years. They have to basically get their grounds clean from any pesticides for a 3-year period. And it's a gruesome, like not, I mean, like it's not just easy to just say, hey, I have an organic farm, because it's tested every year. The government comes and they check and they make sure that you are actually producing organic foods. So this is organic. I don't know if it's if it has toxic chemicals. There is some layer of, I would say, dust and residue or whatever from just the processing and handling of it. And so that's why I generally try to wash my quinoa and my rice and things like that. When it comes to like peas and beans and things like that, I use a dry option. So I also wash and soak that overnight as well, to release also some health benefits. So, but yeah, I would definitely say that wash it. If you're not sure, just wash it.
So there are a few more things that have come in. One is somebody saying quinoa has a saponin covering that is bitter and a minor digestive irritant. So rinsing it removes the saponin. So thank you for that, Susan. And the next comment is, I don't like any type of raw onions. Will leaving it out drastically change the result?
No, it won't.
So it's
It won't.
fine to leave out the onions. You can still make this recipe. Don't think that that ingredient out is going to change anything very drastically. No.
Yeah, and for those of you who have not had an experience with me in the kitchen, I always tell people, listen, the kitchen is your playground. It's whatever you want it to be. So if you don't like something, don't eat it, don't put it in, okay? Just make it the way that you like it and adjust it, you know, as you taste. And that's how I learned how to cook. I adjust and put in what I like, all right? So if you don't like it, just scrap it and you're still gonna be fine. I'm pretty sure it's still gonna be delicious. You can add something else in that you really like. Okay?
So Lynn has kindly included an article if you want to read up about saponin in quinoa. You're free to do that through the chat box. And Giselle, I think you have an announcement, no?
Yes, I do. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. So I'm going to be placing the link to the survey in the chat box once my computer unfreezes. So if you can fill it out, it just tells us your feedback on this class. And if you have any comments on further classes, that would be great. So you should find that in like a few minutes. I'm sorry, my computer is frozen.
Do you want me to help you out with that? Should I see if I can grab it?
Yeah, it's
Aw.
I think I got it. Hold on.
While we're waiting, I have a question.
Yeah,
Deborah,
Yes.
I know that we're not talking about rice, but when someone was suggesting possibly that the quinoa should be washed because of a coating of something that's not good for us. Rice came to mind because on one of my packages of brown rice, it says that rice can have arsenic and that we should rinse it so that most of that will come off. But keep in mind that you're losing also some nutritional value. Do you know anything about that, Deborah?
Well, so I'm not sure. Is that white rice or brown
No,
rice?
brown.
Brown rice. Okay. And it's organic brown rice? Or
I think it is.
Hmm,
I'll have to check the bag.
yeah. Well, generally I tell folks to wash their rice. I actually soak my rice as well, maybe half an hour before I actually cook it to get off anything. I honestly don't know necessarily the chemical name or whatever it is that's on there, but I wash all of these things, whether it's the quinoa, the rice, specifically to get rid of anything that could be on. And you do see sort of like a white film sometimes that's coming off. I can't say that you're losing all the nutrients because when you eat the rice, when you eat the quinoa, there's a lot of nutrients still there, right? So we're always thinking about cost versus benefits. So in terms of like, should I wash it and get rid of the chemical and lose a little bit of the, health benefits? Right? You're not going to lose that much from it by just washing it. So my recommendation is to wash it, get rid of the toxic stuff that could be building up in your body, especially if you're not a person that's like detoxing, right? And I think detoxing is not necessarily drinking tons of green juices all the time. It's just eating a plant-rich diet. If you're eating a plant-rich diet, your body's naturally, your organs, your kidney and your liver naturally is helping the body to detox itself. All right. So that's what I suggest, is to just eat lots of plants because it's going to naturally get rid of some of these things that we're talking about. And that's why I wanted to highlight the cilantro and the parsley, because it's taking out, really helping the liver and the kidney to really pull some of these. It attaches itself and really yank it out of your system, for lack of a better word, right? We're trying to get rid of things that could stay there and build up and cause health issues, like cancer and things like that, right? So eat more plants.
I want to thank you, since I've been joining you with your many episodes that you present so many delicious foods. I have truly changed my way of buying foods and cooking foods, and my husband is the beneficiary.
And so are you. So that's,
That's awesome.
And so am I.
that's really the
I
whole point.
appreciate you sharing that. Thank
So
you.
yeah, I would just add to what Deborah's saying that, there's no one best way to get these health benefits. So, washing the rice, washing the quinoa, that's great. Also eating a lot of herbs, that's great. Kind of figuring out, which steps feel approachable so that you don't get fixated on any one, one approach. All of it together is what's going to improve your health.
I think you have to keep in mind as well that rinsing these items will get rid of what's on the surface, but what's not what's been absorbed into that plant as it's grown.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Rinsing these items, the quinoa, the rice, is going to get rid of some of the surface harmful stuff, but not what has been absorbed in the growing process.
Yes.
So you have to be mindful that you're still taking some in.
Yeah.
You're getting rid of some of it.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm also encouraging folks to rely on their bodies. Our bodies were made so beautifully to handle some level of toxicity, right? And so our organs can actually get rid of some of these things. And so when you're eating a certain way, having your parsley, having your cilantro, eating, lots of fiber, those are the things that are going to actually help the organs out a bit to pull these things out. Also, drinking water, right? Water is great flushing of the system. So it's a whole, there you go. It's a whole process. And even going for physical activity, some light walking and things like that. These are all the different ways that we can actually get rid of by sweating, right? Get rid of some of this stuff that's building up in our bodies. There is, like Gail said, no one way. It's just a matter of doing a complete holistic, self-care, health, holistic care for your body, right? So I don't believe in just one thing. Of course, I'm always telling people eat plants, but I also tell them go for walks. I also tell them sleep. I also tell them, breathe, meditate. It's a combination of things that get us to optimal wellness. And so that's what it's all about. That's what my brand is about as well.
I love that. mytemplewellness.com. And we were able to get the survey into the chat box. So if you don't mind taking a minute, literally it will take you 1 minute to just give some feedback. That'll help us plan for the future. And Debra, we're so excited to be learning so much about how to take care of ourselves from you.
That's great. I live to teach.
We live to learn.
Yeah. So I'm getting my ingredients together. I know you guys are doing your survey, so I'm going to give you a second to do that as I get my ingredients together to do our salad dressing. And I'm going to go and check on my quinoa again.
So I want to just reiterate something that Debra shared earlier, which is that anytime we make our own salad dressing, it will always, no matter what ingredients you're using, it will always have less sugar and it will always be a healthier option, right? Salad dressings are known for being loaded with sugar and salts. So whatever salad dressing you find online or the one that you're learning tonight, if you're making that from scratch, you can make it, quadruple the recipe and keep it for a week. It will definitely be a healthier option than eating what you can buy in the store. And Giselle, thank you for posting that again. That is in the recipe, but you can see here, they're very simple elements: olive oil, balsamic vinegar, some mustard, water, and honey. 5 ingredients, right? Very, very straightforward, very easy to make, and just much, much better than what you'll find in a bottle.
So guys, we have our quinoa here pretty much done, okay? If you have a really good pot, it cooks really nicely. If you have a not so good pot, that's when you have to worry about cooking rice and quinoa. But this is, as you can see, it's fully dried out, and that's what you want. You just want to dry it out, okay? And so I'm going to try to bring it up just a little bit closer so you can get a little bit better view. It's not that hot.
Beautiful.
Hopefully you can see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you see a lot more. It's opened up a bit. Before it was just totally red. You're seeing a little bit of white. That's because it's cooked. Okay. So that's the other sign that it's cooked. Obviously, you can also taste it to be sure that it's the texture that you want it to be. For me, I know it, so I know this is good. So I'm going to let it sit for a few. All right. Turn the stove off and let it sit. Our potatoes. I think my stove was on the wrong setting, so I had to turn it up a bit. We'll take that out at the end as we make our salad dressing.
So one additional point is that quinoa actually cooks faster than brown rice. It probably cooks, it probably takes the same amount of time to cook white rice and quinoa. But if you are somebody who eats brown rice takes much longer than quinoa. So something just to keep in mind.
The
I don't
only rice,
remember. I was just
Sorry.
gonna say, how did it get dry? When the water, did it just dry, the water disappeared? I don't
Basically,
remember. I haven't cooked it in a while. I got it in the house.
yeah, the water just cooked out. I had it on medium to low flame, and it just cooked out.
Yeah,
I
okay,
stirred it
thank you.
occasionally. I checked on it twice just to make sure that it was good. And I just tasted it also. It's perfect.
Thank you, thank you.
Definitely. All right, so let's jump into, hopefully you've gotten your surveys done. We have about 15 minutes more here. I'm gonna jump into making the salad dressing. Forgive the sirens if you can hear it. It's an ambulance driving by my apartment.
Makes it authentic Bronx Eats.
It really is. I'm on the West Side Highway, and it's just like a lot of parties that happens on this highway all the time.
That's great.
All right, guys. So we're going to be making balsamic vinaigrette. So making your own salad dressing, as I said before, it's one of the best ways. And Gail, thank you for highlighting that again. It's a great way to eliminate not just the sugars and the sodium and things like that, but you're getting rid of the chemicals. I recently did a salad dressing workshop, and it was great. We made 3 different salad dressings. We made the creamy ranch. I think we did a Caesar and another sunflower seed option. And it was really great. Folks were really surprised to find out that you can actually use natural ingredients to get the same, almost the very same flavors, right? If you are creative, you can actually create your own salad dressings, all right? This is a very basic one that most people are already familiar with. I didn't want to make it too complicated. And I felt like with this one, this could be a good option. So the ingredients that we're using today, I'm just going to go over very briefly. So we have our olive oil, as I said before. It's great, and it's the extra virgin option. A lot of people like to ask me what type of olive oil I use. I get the generic option from 365 Whole Foods brand. This is the one I'm using today, cold press, extra virgin, and it's $12.99. All right. And so that's why I use the extra virgin, is because it's minimally processed olives. All right. I'm also going to be using balsamic vinegar, guys, and this is made from unfermented juice and aged for months, right? Months to years. And it's a low fat option, and it's healthy for your salad. All right. So this is the option I'm using. Again, guys, you're noticing a trend. I use a lot of organic brands, okay? Not brands, organic foods, okay? And that's deliberate. Listen, when it comes to the foods that we put in our bodies, even if it costs a little bit extra, if you're able, I would splurge on the food, all right? Splurge on food. That's what I splurge on. We're gonna be using some salt and some pepper, okay? I also suggested brown sugar, but if you have coconut sugar, that's good as well. This is what I have here today. Again, organic coconut sugar, unrefined. The only thing with coconut sugar, sometimes you may have to put just a little bit more to get exactly what you're looking for. But it's a brown sugar, coconut sugar, not much difference, okay? When it comes to sugar though, you know the deal, guys. You don't want to eat too much sugar, because sugar has been implicated in so many different things. But it's so much better that you use your own at home than using the ones that are in the store, and the salad dressings from the store. And I want to alert everybody of something that maybe you are already aware of, and if you're not, please be mindful that ever since, I want to say it's been maybe 30 years or so now, there's been a lot of different foods. So there's sugar and barbecue sauce, there's sugar and...
Oh, sorry, Deborah, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Yeah, sugar can be found in so many different things. And years ago, folks would have, for the full year, about 20 pounds of sugar per person. That sounds like a lot, right? 20 pounds per year. Now, studies have been done to show that we're eating over 150 pounds of sugar per year per person. And so a lot of folks are wondering, why are there so many more illnesses? Why are there so many more cancers and things? This is one of the reasons, because sugar feeds cancer. Unfortunately, it does. As much as we love our cakes and we love all these different things that we celebrate with, we have to be mindful. And so when you're getting the store-bought salad dressing, you know, take a look at the back. Okay, I always tell folks, label reading is the #1 way to save your health. To really make a difference in your health is to turn that thing around before you leave the supermarket and just read before you go. 5 ingredients or less if you can. If you cannot pronounce that particular item, whatever it is, usually a chemical, you shouldn't be eating it, right? That's what I always say. And so, yeah, I really love to make my own salad dressing. Obviously, it takes time, guys. So not everybody wants to spend the time in the kitchen. You know, I think when you develop a love for your life and your body, you just do whatever it takes, especially if you've been ill. And I am this passionate because I got sick. I had surgery. And for me, this is why I got to this place. Sometimes that's the only way we get there is if you're ill. And we don't want that to be the reason why we make changes in our diet. All right, so let's jump into this because we're winding down on time. And I want to make sure that we, and we're good in terms of time, we should be fine. Let me just check on the sweet potatoes before we get into that. If you guys have questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, I would just add to the beautiful information that Debra's sharing that many of the processed foods that are sold are designed to have, you know, salt and sugar at a level that really makes us very addicted. So, yeah, you know, we should know that going in, that it's just really designed to get our taste buds going and to keep sort of eating the whole bag of chips or finishing the whole carton of ice cream. And, you know, it takes a certain amount of self-discipline to remind ourselves that we don't need that level of sugar or salt or fat. And that's why cooking at home and homemade foods can be sweet, but not oversweet. And we need to kind of get back to reminding our taste buds, you know, what level of sweetness we really need.
Yes. Yeah, because when something is really, really sweet, your body will pick it up. Now that I rarely eat sugar, if I have a slice of cake or something like that, I have an instant headache. No lie, every time. So I don't really eat cake. And if I do, it's the one that I'm preparing at home with the amount of sugar that I can manage, right? All right, guys, so let's jump right in. I'm going to be making our balsamic vinaigrette. We're going to be using some olive oil, as I said before, so let's go ahead and measure out. No one's cooking with me, so I'm out here all by myself. So I'm going to measure out. I'm going to do a little bit extra for myself again, because when I make it, I like to have a little extra in the refrigerator that I'm storing. All right, so that's 2 tablespoons instead of 1. Oil, if you happen to have heart disease or any type of heart concerns, oil is like the one thing that you should really try to avoid completely. Cook with water. So if you're sauteing your onions and things, cook with water instead. All right. All right, now we're going to put a tablespoon of balsamic vinaigrette. Probably would be a little bit less since I'm using more of that. And again, guys, play with the flavor that you like. All right. Recipes are great. They're like some rules. They're meant to be broken. Just have fun. All right.
I love that. And I just want to repeat what Debra just said. You can make more than you need and just put it in a jar or a Tupperware and save it for the next night. And so spend 5 minutes making salad dressing for 2 nights, right?
Yeah, that's good. And one of the things that I do as well, guys, I have this BPA-free container that I purchased some time ago. I probably need to get a new one. And I make my salads for 2 days, 3 days, and I store leftovers. So any kind of container that you can use, because some people, they don't like to be doing all this constant kitchen work. So if you can get a container, BPA-free plastic, or if you can get the glass container, even better, and just store your food, right? Meal prep. That's what they call it. The fancy word they're using now is meal prepping, right?
Love that.
You can totally meal prep and save yourself some time. All right, so let's whip this all together. I got a plate at any minute now. I'm gonna put some mustard. Guys, when it comes to mustard, this one I'm using is a Dijon mustard. and it's organic, of course. And the ingredients in this, remember we said less than 5 ingredients if you can. This has water, organic mustard seeds, organic vinegar, salt, and organic turmeric, and some spices. It just says organic spices. All right, so when you, again, this is what you do when you go to the store. This is how you determine what type of mustard to purchase, okay? Would be reading the label, right? So we're gonna just put a tiny bit of that in there.
So again, what Deborah said, if you can't pronounce it, it's probably best to avoid it. If you can't read the label, it's probably best to find another product.
Yes.
And the 5 ingredient rule is also worth repeating, right? The fewer ingredients, the better. You know, we
Yeah.
tend to think of more is better, but actually when it comes to food, less is better.
Yes. The only time more is better is if you're eating a lot of vegetables.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. I do some freehand here. I'm just dumping this in the water there. All right. And we're gonna put just a tiny bit of sugar.
And for
And then
those
we're
of
gonna
you who
plate.
are diabetic, obviously you can leave the sugar out, right?
Yeah. So we're just gonna go ahead and whisk. The mustard will take a little bit of time to kind of get pureed out. All right, so I'm gonna plate. I'm gonna just try this to be sure that it's not a lot. Actually, I didn't make as much as I usually would.
Looks beautiful.
Deborah, my screen froze, but so I couldn't hear. But according to what I see and what I'm writing to take notes, the recipe calls for brown sugar, but I'm seeing in the prep for the vinaigrette, it doesn't have any brown sugar. It has honey instead. Is that purposely done to substitute honey? Do you want?
Oh, I thought I had brown sugar. I thought we did brown sugar.
We have
You-
brown sugar in the recipe but when it comes to the
Oh,
prep part.
Oh, yeah. You can. So when it comes to the honey, again, be mindful of the type of honey you're using. All right. Which one do I have? So raw, any kind of raw natural honey is good. It's gonna cost you more money. Please don't buy the one in that little bear bottle for $3.99. That's not honey. Okay, this is honey. Raw, natural. I'm not promoting any brand. I know KHCC makes honey as well, the community center. So if you guys want to buy from them, they sell at Moss Cafe. I'll give them a plug because they're part of the coalition. So yeah, KHCC make their honey. I've seen their bees. They have a beautiful bee farm. That's what you call it. So if you want to get honey locally, support KHCC, the community center. All right. So but raw honey, guys. All right.
And Deborah, there's somebody asking if you could use agave instead of honey and instead of brown sugar.
Yeah, agave's not a bad option. I've used agave at times. So when it comes to sugar, the thing with sugar is, and we got our potatoes ready. I'm gonna bring those around. Oh, burnt myself. When it comes to sugar, guys, agave, honey, any of those things, you just want to be mindful of how much you're having, right? That's kind of the bottom line when it comes to sugar. Just be mindful. Obviously, don't eat white sugar, right? That's the one I definitely want to tell you, don't touch that. All right. Here's
And
our
cane
potato.
sugar is another substitute that's fun. Ooh, look at that.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Guys, I wish y'all were here because the smell is amazing. I'm looking forward to when we can have a large kitchen and everybody can come and we can just cook together and eat together. I've been dreaming about that since COVID.
That sounds great. That's how Bronx Eats started, is we all cooked together and ate together after class. So we'll hope to go back to that.
We're gonna do it again one day, right? It's
And
gonna
Susan
happen.
is asking how much is too much sugar?
So teaspoons for women per day, per day is 6 max. And that's a lot, in my opinion. No,
Okay.
what am I saying? Hang on. Yes. For men, it's 9 teaspoons. And I think for children, it's 4. But I wouldn't go ahead just looking to have sugar. If you don't need it, don't, but look at the things you're eating and you're going to see how quickly that adds up. Okay. Because if you drink a soda, for example, if you have a soda, it has sometimes 14 teaspoons of sugar. So that's already you're doubled for the day.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let me wrap it up here.
Wrapping it up. Everything looks
So I'm
beautiful.
just slicing our apples. We're using Granny Smith apples. If you are able to go apple picking, there's tons of apple picking locations in New York. Get out there, enjoy time with family, but be safe, obviously, right? So let's go ahead and put it all together.
Do you have any apple farms that are organic apple farms that you can give names of?
I will try to, I'll look and let you all know. I know of, I'm working with this person who I think might have a connection. So I will find out and I'll get back to you. I hope I don't forget that. Okay, so guys, we have our kale that was previously chopped up very nicely. Okay, we're just gonna put some of that on our plate. Okay. And with our ingredients here, I'm gonna put the quinoa. Let's move over. Bring our bigger kitchen because this space here is getting a little bit tight. All right. So here we are. We're gonna put our quinoa. It's a little bit cool now, so we can go ahead and put it on. Still have a little bit of heat coming out.
So you're putting the quinoa right on top of the kale?
This is going, I'm making sort of like a mixture with all these seasonings, so to speak. So all the peppers and the onion and things like that.
That's how I eat it all the time.
Yeah. Another thing that you can do with this is you can throw some broccoli in this. Now that would take it up another notch because cruciferous vegetables like broccoli are excellent. And even raw cauliflower. Those are great for cancer fighting. And broccoli is excellent as well because of the iron.
Beautiful. And Giselle just put a link to Healthy Living, Healthy Eating, heart.org. So you can check out sugar recommendations for men and for women. Thank you, Giselle, for that. And we are going to wrap it up in just a minute. This looks beautiful.
So now you can go ahead and put your quinoa, peppers, and all of that on top. And then we're going to go ahead and make our potatoes right in the center here.
Beautiful. So I'm just going to emphasize what you've already said. We have quinoa has the protein. We have the carb is the sweet potato. We have the kale for the greens. We get fruit in there. It's really a meal in a bowl. We've covered all food groups.
Yes.
Excuse me, isn't quinoa also a grain and a carb? You have like two carbs, potato and quinoa?
I'm sorry?
Answer that. Is quinoa a grain? Is
quinoa is a grain, but it's also a protein. It's high in protein. So that's why we're incorporating in our meal. And a lot of vegetables do have some level of protein in them. It's just a matter of how much, right? Quinoa has a lot. So that's our protein. But you can add some seeds, right? You can add some seeds, some sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and things like that to this, and that would ramp it up even better. So now, guys, we're gonna go ahead and just sprinkle our balsamic vinaigrette all around.
Beautiful, so beautiful. And as you finish up, I'm going to just wrap it up here. We know that eating fruits and vegetables is the best medicine of all, as Debra has shared this evening, and that consuming healthy, real food instead of processed food strengthens our bodies, our immune systems, and our moods. Diet is critical to preventing and even reversing many chronic diseases, including heart disease and diabetes. So let's learn how to make better food choices together. Let's do this for yourself, your family, and the planet. It's not out of reach, as we saw this evening, and we can do it together in community. As Debra said, make some substitutes to increase your lifespan. So thank you again for joining us tonight. We're really so happy for you to join the Bronx Eats family. Look at that incredible dish that we made together here. Thanks again. Eat real food, stay healthy, and we hope to see you next week for a continuation of the Let's Cook Apple series. Thank you, Debra.
My pleasure, Gil. Sorry I went over time. I love talking about food.
We loved it.
And so that's why I went over just a bit. So I hope you all enjoyed, your time with me this evening. I really do hope you make this. I already tasted it. It's so good. You have to try it. All right. If you guys want to reach out, just send Gail an email and she has my contact if you guys are looking to reach out.